And we're back here. Main events Tuesdays with Bruce Cooper, of course, here and having some fun before here. If you guys can only hear what Bruce was saying,
yeah,
the people he hates around town, folks. You guys should have heard that conversation.
I thought you'd be wearing your Wildcats hat in here today, Coop.
Bite your tongue. My Wildcats hat?
3-0.
Never.
3-0.
Never.
Big 12
never,
champs.
ever. And let me tell you something. Hats off to Coach Brennan and his staff down there. Now, keep in mind, they have not played anyone on that schedule outside of Kansas State who preseason-wise had any type of cred. Now, since the season has commenced, I mean, the Wildcats were grossly, and I'm talking about the other one, Kansas State, grossly overrated.
Yeah. Now tell me this though, and I mentioned this to Steve yesterday when we were talking. Is there no way you can see the Arizona Wildcats being this year's Sun Devils?
Dale's trying so hard to get the Wildcats to be that person.
That would hurt me immensely if that were the case. But I watched their game Saturday. I mean, I guess it was Friday. Against Kansas State. They had a running back. I can't even think of his name, but I mean, I thought he ran the ball really hard, brought some juice to the team. Noah Fafita looked like the quarterback of 2 years prior.
Right.
He and Tetairoa McMillan were obviously the best 1-2 combination in all of college football. Last year, I'm not really sure what happened. I mean, the interceptions, the decision-making, the turnovers, I mean, they just ran amok with Fafita. But he looked like that dude again. And so it could happen because, let me tell you something, they really miss a number of the top teams in the Big 12 on their schedule.
Very favorable.
They don't play any of the top teams in the Big 12 except for Arizona State if they stay at that level. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. Iowa State next week. They have a bye week this week. Iowa State at Iowa State. Oklahoma State at home down there in Tucson. BYU down there in Tucson. Houston down over at Houston. Colorado at Colorado. Then you got Kansas at home. Cincinnati on the road. And then you got Baylor and then Arizona State after that. Yeah, they could go out and win 8 games here.
Yeah.
Easily.
And look, so far to me, I see the Utah Utes, Kyle Whittingham, he has that team back. The fact that they went out and they brought in Devin Dampier, I don't know if you recall him, he played at Pinnacle High School. I mean, he's been absolutely a huge difference maker for him. And so it's like, if you get that type of quarterback play at Utah with their big physical lines on both sides of the ball, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah,
and
but
so
they're
U of A misses them.
Well, Utah, U of A misses, all those top tier teams. But Utah's got the big test this week. This is going to be their first big test this weekend. They got Texas Tech coming up. So finally they get a hard team because Utah's played UCF, which, yes, they beat, Florida and SEC, Dale. Best conference in the world.
Yes,
killed UCLA, who just fired their coach, Cal Poly. Then Wyoming last week. So this is a big test. Texas Tech at home in Utah, no less, up there in Salt Lake City this weekend. So their first test is coming up here. So, yeah.
I think they used to win, but my gosh. I mean, you mentioned UCLA. How bad is that situation?
Don't hire a coach that is he was a great player. That's it. Never had coaching experience.
No, but
recruiting experience.
But even under Chip Kelly, they thought they could hire him and kind of resurrect the program.
Yeah.
And he wasn't able to lift it to the level of expectation, and so he was ceremoniously run out of town. And now,
who they have after Chip Kelly, the son of Mora. Mora.
Yeah.
He got him like resurrected a little bit with his toughness.
Yeah, bringing Deshaun Foster was just complete.
Do you think that's the quickest firing in college football history?
Well, no, Virginia Tech, same time frame. They're tied.
Okay, but which one was announced first?
I saw them both on the same day. Yeah. Like they were competing for firing at that point. But it's got to be, right? Third game of the season?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I was on social media site, and they showed like a panoramic view of the Rose Bowl.
All 300 people that were there.
Dude,
That's the way it's been for the last year and a half. 2
Oh
years.
my gosh.
Well, their problem.
my God.
Their problem, Bruce. They've always blamed, because I grew up kind of a UCLA fan. They always blame the fact that they weren't on campus, so it's hard for students to
Well,
get there.
no, look, I can historically go back and tell you that's a bunch of bunk.
When Troy was there, I can tell you, I saw Troy Aikman play at UCLA in Pasadena, and that stadium was full.
I've seen Arizona State and University of Arizona play in the Rose
Yeah.
Bowl when they were full. Yeah.
Yeah, so they blame that, but yeah, I mean it's been that way for a while, and that's the team that broke up the Pac-12. Well, them and USC.
Well,
but
USC plays at. They don't play on campus either. I mean, look, I'm not buying that excuse.
down the road. No, that's what they always say though. They have a problem because students just can't. Come on, guys. Kids go to UCLA. They know how to get around LA. They don't just hang out there.
And the thing is, 90% of people at UCLA are scientists, and
Doctors.
and medical people. Like, I ain't watching football.
Exactly. They don't care about it from that side. It's fascinating to see how that goes. But before we get into football, your Diamondbacks. Dale a week ago proclaims, I go, Dale, you don't want to talk about the Diamondbacks? Who cares? Football season. Now he won't stop tweeting about them, Bruce.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the amazing thing to me is I thought at the trading deadline when teams sold that they were waving a white flag.
Yeah.
Well, even the GM said that. He goes, "We're not going to make a playoff run. We had to sell some of our guys. We know we're not going to make a playoff run now, and here they are."
Yeah, if I'd have known that if all it takes to get better is to sell, heck, I'd do it every year.
No, I said this a couple of weeks ago. The Diamondbacks, Torey Lovello's Diamondbacks, play better when they have zero expectations.
Yeah. You know, you get that. You know, you can make that argument for sure. But I will say this. When I look at this, I found myself looking back and saying, how the heck did they do it? And, you know, I said, I started looking up and down their roster. And, you know, you have the all-stars like Ketel Marte and
When he
Corbin
plays.
Carroll. But I'm telling you, it is the shortstop, Geraldo Perdomo. I mean, look, if you don't want to call him the star of the team, without question, he is the MVP of this team. This dude is, you know, nearing 100 RBI. Yeah. It's amazing. I never, and close to 20 home runs. I think he has 19. I never dreamt that Geraldo Perdomo would be an offensive threat. I thought he was more on the team for his glove, maybe even his leadership, because, you know, he seems like he's the guy that heads out to the pitching mounds and settle things down. He's like the coach on the field. But I never envisioned him being the offensive player that he is. I think last night he was on base, all 5 times?
5 times.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
It
just...
was pertinent to that game yesterday.
Yes. And so I'm like, okay, all right, Diamondbacks 76 and 75. They have 11 games left. And then I don't know if you guys caught this at the end of the broadcast last night. I was watching. I don't know if Bob Brenly was taking a shot at Ketel Marte or not.
Yes.
You saw that?
I get the
I
distinct
didn't know.
impression, and I've actually asked some people that would be in the know. I'm not going to say he doesn't like him. I'm going to say the toughness angle is some. Which, if you remember,
shit.
Bob Brenly as a manager didn't like that. Guys played for him. I don't care if your leg was falling off. But it's bad when Blaze Alexander, he can't even move his elbow, and he's like, "I'm going to go play today."
Yeah.
You know, gets hit in the elbow on Sunday. Yesterday, he's in the lineup and playing.
Yeah.
And then Marte's like, I'm sore.
Yeah. And here's the I guess the conundrum with him. It's that, like, dude, when he is rolling at the plate, he can actually carry a team.
Yeah.
I mean,
Marte?
he can actually, Marte.
Oh, no, he's
And-
the best second baseman in baseball.
Yeah, and so I'm looking at him over this, last few games, I guess in the last week. I mean, he's come up to the plate in big situations, RBI situation, and he's failed. He's flopping.
Yeah.
He's not hitting or doing a darn thing right
slow
now, and the
roll-
Diamondbacks are still winning.
Slow
if-
rollers to second.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
If-
even a pop up to
absolutely.
the
If-
advanced runners. Just,
absolutely.
Just
If
like-
he gets going like we know that he can, I mean, I like the Diamondbacks to surprise and win the last wild card spot.
You said it. You said it before. How are they in this spot? They're in this spot. One, because they've been winning 2 out of 3, but most importantly, my God, the Mets suck.
Well, you know what? I tell you what. Let's call. I'm looking at it as karma. Do you realize that a year ago at this time, the Diamondbacks had a 3-game lead with 7 left to play?
Yeah.
And they wound up being tied, and they lost out in the
And then
tiebreaker.
Marte took that game off because he
Yeah,
has to be out of that game,
well,
and then
good
they
point.
didn't do
Good
it after
point
that.
again.
You need to rest
Absolutely.
up for the playoffs.
Yeah, good point again.
Exactly,
Good point
right.
again. So hopefully karma will reverse itself and shine on the Diamondbacks. But I'm telling you, if Ketel Marte, if he gets on a roll with the way the Diamondbacks are clicking offensively, I'm telling you, I like them to do it, because another thing that has surprised me, before the trading deadline, I was saying, hey, let's get rid of Zach Gallen. I mean, look, he's the guy that I'm not interested in signing. I know Corbin Burns is my new ace, and I'm going to look. Granted, I'm not going to have him for most of 26.
a year for now, yeah.
I'm not going to have most of 26, if at all. But I'm okay. I got Merrill Kelly. I didn't expect the Diamondbacks to trade Kelly and keep Gallen, but I'm telling you, since that trading deadline, Gallen has been Zach Gallen that we've known. I mean, even last night, 6 innings, allowed only 2 hits, and the 1 run was a solo home run. Yeah. I mean, he's just back to being Zach Gallen, the ace.
Well, what he's doing is he's just pricing himself right out of the Diamondback signing for next year.
Yeah.
That's the issue. He's stepping up. Again, though, no expectations. What were the expectations for Gallen going into the season? He's going to come into the season. He's going to be the ace on this team. They signed Corbin, and you saw him kind of falter, and he leaves balls hanging up there. Home runs have been his problem this year.
Yeah.
What happens? Trade deadline happens. Corbin Burns goes down with an injury, and then he slowly worked himself up. No expectation. Everybody's saying he's going to just have to sign a qualifying offer somewhere. 1-year prove-it deal, and then all of a sudden Zach Gallen starts to pitch better and better and better. And it's just this team with this management style, et cetera. It's just, you can't put expectations on them. That's what's going to be interesting, because they're 1.5 games out now of the Mets. They can't catch them, especially because Phillies have clinched their division already. So you got them next. They could be setting their lineup, starting to rest guys. Dodgers are going to have that division clinched before you play them. Then you got the Padres, who are going to have a wild card split up there. So they're going to be getting ready for the playoffs, and you're going to have to be pushing forward. Expectations are about to jump on top of these Diamondbacks again. And do they falter at that point is the question that you got with that expectation level.
I just hope their bullpen can hold up, because
I mean
that's where they have been rocked the most relative to their injury plagued season.
Guys, if the bullpen only blew half the lead, I'm not saying 75%.
Half of the 38.
Even 40%. If they blew 40, they'd be comfortably in the playoffs already.
Dale, if they've won 5 games that they lost this year, they'd be comfortably in the wild card spot.
Yeah, and then they their last road series before they came home to play here against the Giants, they had a miraculous 9th inning rally. They took an 8-6 lead over the Twins. I'm like, oh man, how about this?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still reveling in Gabby Moreno's 3-run home run, and then the bullpen again allowed it up. And so
that Friday night,
I'll say, watching last night in the opener against the Giants, what Rashi is doing. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, Rashi. Yeah, and I love him, man. He just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. He reminds me of Andrew Saalfrank coming out of nowhere during the Diamondbacks run to the World Series in '23. And so he's pitching like that, and I'm like, and then I hear this kid's like, Rashi's like 29 years old. So, dude, really, what? Yeah. And so
his first appearance on the Diamondbacks. Remember, they had nobody else. They left him in there. He got into some trouble, got out of the trouble. They ended up winning that game. His first time we saw him. I mean, the kid's special, and that just leads to the question of where's he been all year? You've needed bullpen arms. Where's he been?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So look, if they hold up on that end, and I'm telling you, if Ketel Marte, if he can get on a hot streak like he has done in his career,
He's had a terrible September. He's
Oh,
batting
jeez.
one. I don't have it in front of me after last, but he's batting like 189.
dude, stop it! Is it? I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was that bad.
No, it's that bad. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness!
he's terrible in September. I don't have the exact number. Don't quote me on that 189, but it's in the ones. I think it was over 4 last night.
The other thing that I saw last night, you talked about Perdomo, the fact that, and I don't understand the different wars, whatever. There's F war, there's X war, but it's one of the wars that he actually leads the league.
Perdomo?
And Perdomo does.
Wow, okay.
And so they said it last night on broadcast.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm calling him the Diamondbacks MVP.
Yeah.
I know he won't be up for the league MVP award. I mean, he's not going to even be in that conversation. But where would the Diamondbacks be without him?
That's why they signed him as one of their young, him and Corbin Carroll, the Untouchables, right? So I just looked it up. Ketel Marte. Now this is only through September 10th, so 6 days later as well, and he's batting 115 in the first 10 days of September.
115?
Yeah.
Oh my!
I might have given him.
gosh.
I might have given him a little bit too much credit at 189. I just did a quick look up on that, but it's in the ones. He's
Oh
been
my
terrible.
God! Yeah,
And you're not wrong. He gets opportunity. He gets up there late in the games where 2 guys on, and then he's slow dribbler to the mound or slow dribbler to the shortstop to get out of the inning. Not even a pop up deep, to advance the runners. Nothing like that. It's just I've never, and I think this is where we struggle with it. We've never seen a superstar in the Valley here that the fans can rally around. We've never seen one also be lackadaisical.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because there are times he's on first base and there's a ball that's hit in the gap. Now, if it's Carroll or
Perdomo.
Well, I'm trying to think of McCarthy. You put the run on the board.
Yeah.
With him, I just don't know because he seems like he's almost. If he runs hard, he's going to be out with a hamstring.
Yeah.
I just get like that, and I hate to be that guy.
No, I mean,
but-
then you go to the All-Star game, and he hauls a double in the All-Star game. Was it a double or triple?
It was double.
But he ran as hard as he possibly could in that environment.
But
and then here he jogs it.
But he took the Sunday off before the All-Star game.
That allowed him to rest.
I mean,
Felt
come
comfortable.
on, Coop.
and then we know about the big gaff or the big brouhaha after the All-Star.
Yeah.
It's just like when you think about like the superstars here, right? Larry Fitzgerald, Shane Doan. The thing that endures Phoenix fans to them is not just how good they are, but just how hard they work. They set the tone with their toughness and everything.
Sure.
And I think this is the first quote unquote superstar where it's just like, what? Like, okay, you fouled the ball off your foot, and we all thought he was going to be out on that. Was it Friday? I think it was. We all thought he was going to be out. Then he's in the lineup. Then he gets scratched from the lineup because he's just not feeling it, guys. It's just he tried to go out there and he's just not comfortable stepping into the pitch in the batter's box. And you're just like, what are we doing in a playoff push?
Well, here's the other thing, Coop, and Steve's famous for remembering this, but there was a series in San Francisco early in the season, and he sat out the last game.
The wind at his back.
And Torrey said, well, when you're out there, the wind's blowing on your back for 2 days.
Yeah, the cold
it
wind
gets
of the
tight.
bay.
It gets tight and whatever.
Wait a second, I didn't hear that. I missed that.
No, Tory flat
said
out blamed
that.
the wind. Yeah.
And first of all, I'm like, all right, if my manager came out and said that, I would. But if that's the reason,
Yeah.
the wind was at his back. For
Well, it's because
10
they know how he feels. It's tough being out there with the wind at your back, guys. I know how he feels the next day, and stretch out, and we just got to protect him out there. They got to protect him from the wind. Now, give him a windbreaker.
Yeah, dude, I've never heard anything that asinine.
Yeah, it was a legit thing.
that's embarrassing for the manager to even try and go out and articulate.
And that's my problem. And it's not all Tory. I've always said it's not all Tory. Mike Hazen's responsible for this as well, but they placated him. They're afraid of Ketel Marte. They're afraid. Like Friday night, they put him in the lineup. They had to scratch him. A manager that wasn't afraid of their player would have said, "You're going out there and playing. You're the superstar on this team. Get out there and play. We'll pull you if we need to, but get out there and play. And what do the Diamondbacks do instead? They make the excuses. Oh, he's got to be stretched out. He's got to have an MRI now. We got to make sure everything's fine on it, but, one day off, he'll be back the next day. What's one day going to do, in terms of, soreness and things like that? So it's the manager and the GM that placate.
But the win thing, dude, I can't get past that.
I have that clip. I should go find that clip.
Yeah, well, Coop, here's the thing. When your best player, that's his genuine makeup, just the way he approaches it, when that's your best player, you're right. Most valuable, Perdomo. Most talented, you say Ketel Marte.
Or Corbin, yeah.
Yeah, but you probably put Marte. But when his, I don't want to say work ethic, toughness level, whatever that is, you got 11 games left in this season.
Yeah.
You should, you can rest.
Right.
Yes, you have a whole offseason.
It shouldn't even be a question. I agree with you 1,000. But here's the deal. I know that after the All-Star break and when that news broke, there was talk about, not only his teammates, the clubhouse, kind of losing that, but that they wouldn't mind if he was traded.
Yeah.
So I think the big question is now this offseason, regardless of how this regular season ends, postseason or not.
I think you got to shop him.
Okay, that's where I was going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I said it at the trade deadline. But I also said with the Phoenix Suns, the way their season was going, all this other talk about when you're talking about trade, I said this time trade Devin Booker. Hey, you're not going to get.
That's nonsense, right?
You're not going to get any more value for him than right now, and you're going nowhere.
The difference though between Booker and Ketel Marte is Booker's not going to ruin the locker room. I just go to Blaze Alexander. Do you see the picture of his elbow after Sunday's hit?
I did not.
It was swollen. You could see the stitches of the ball in it, swollen, couldn't bend it. And he was out there playing yesterday.
Yeah.
And Ketel Marte, I fell the ball off my foot where I have protective padding and stuff, and it's sore. I gotta sit out.
Well, here's the deal. In that, I think the game that he fouled it off his foot, he continued to play. But I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 innings later.
No, they took him out.
He was 3 or 4 innings later. He was at second base, and he did like this.
Yeah, it was
he motioned for him to come out, and they took him out.
I can't remember if it was, but I remember he went back. He went out there, and then they came and got him.
Yeah. I'm like. Yeah. Dude, stop it!
You finish that inning, man, right? Before you go out there and do that type of stuff. It's it's that's my problem with it. Is you'll lose the most talented second baseman, but especially when you have a young team, you're going to have a young team next year because you're not going to spend more on payroll because of your injury situation. Just roll out there with these young guys and everything, because he can ruin some of these guys.
And look, culture in the
there's Blaze's elbow for you on Sunday, and he
yeah.
played yesterday. Marte would be out for a month.
Yeah. Look, culture in the locker room. I mean, you can't underscore it. It's so important, and you can't have a cancer in the clubhouse. Now, look, I remember covering the Diamondbacks, and they had a guy named Randy Johnson and another guy named Kurt Schilling. Now, those guys weren't the most, I guess, friendly, if you will, type guys in the clubhouse. But they each pitched like once every 5 days. Yeah. And so everyone knew their value to the team, so you put up with it. It wasn't like the Giants having to put up with Barry Bonds, who was an everyday player, but a cancer. But you put up with superstars. You put up because they produce, because they're that. And I got to ask myself, is Ketel Marte in that level? Yeah. And my answer is no. I mean, he's a superstar, but I mean, what's the difference between a great player and a superstar?
The example I give is the guy that was with the Red Sox and that's with the Giants, Devers, right? Red Sox, he decided they needed him to play first base, and he built that deal. You told me now I'm not going to have a glove, whatever. Red Sox, all right, see you later, bud. We'll see you later. Bye. We don't want you here no more, because the players probably revolted from him not being a team player, and they got rid of him. And Diamondbacks are like, we're fine with Ketel doing it. That's what bothers me the most.
Yeah, but it might be the front office in Coop. I've always said this. Part of the success of our 90s Cowboys was our three best players were the three hardest workers.
Was that right? Okay.
Troy,
sure.
Michael, and Emmett.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
to this day, I will tell you, played a lot of football for a lot of years. Michael Irvin, the hardest working teammate I've ever been around.
Is that right? Wow.
And so when your leaders and your best players are your hardest workers, well, guess what? The other 50 guys, you're going to fall in line.
Right.
But if your best player, and Ketel Marte's their best player.
I like that.
Is a
like
guy
that.
who take a day off.
I like that. I like that. Because I was really straddling the fence. If I wanted him gone. And Dale, that is just that's a great story.
Hey, hold on. What's going on here? You got a temperature over there. We don't disagree anymore. You're getting older and wiser.
We got some disagreements coming up. But the other thing I'll say about what you said, being in the locker room with Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling and Matt Williams was in that locker room, just cantankerous guys, right? Especially on game day. Veteran locker room. That wouldn't have worked if it was a young team.
Okay.
They would have resented the way Randy Johnson treated people on the days he was pitching. They would have resented guys like Matt Williams and things like that. So the veteran locker room, they've learned to be like, all right, we know the value of this guy, just stay out of his way. This team is young, and they are, like Dale said, they're going to follow Ketel Marte. We're not seeing it because Blaze Alexander played yesterday. He could have easily have said, I don't want to be here. I can't play today, guys.
Well, what do you guys think the return should be?
That's the problem. You're not going to get enough in return for him. That's the problem.
Well,
you're going to trade
your biggest need.
one of the
I
best.
think the biggest need is they need a closer because I don't think either Puck or Martinez will be available
How
next year.
many years have we been talking about? We'll talk about this when we come back. How many years under Mike Hayes and his GM have we been saying
Every year.
You need closers and you need bullpen? Our bullpen's blowing the game and we need a designated closer. And what do they always say, Coop? I don't like to designate guys in positions. I
know we're going to break,
fluid.
but remind me when we come back because I got a great parallel to Ketel Marte.
Perfect. Ooh.
You like that?
Be back in 2
That's
and 2.
SMU, baby.
SMU educate. Go Mustangs! At your second hour main event with Tuesdays with Bruce Cooper. You gotta come up with a better name than that. Tuesdays with Bruce Cooper, folks.
I like it because Coop has to get up probably an hour earlier than he usually does. I think he skips Eggs Benedict on Tuesday mornings.
We're gonna have to get a chef in here.
Yeah.
What we're saying, ready for him when he gets here. Can't be arranged. That actually sounds like a good breakfast.
Yeah.
But Dale, you have a parallel for Ketel Marte.
Okay, so we were talking during the break. Michael Irvin, the hardest working teammate I've ever been around, whether it's Saguaro, SMU, NFL. And so everybody else fell in line. Troy, Michael, and Emmett, your three best players, your three hardest workers. So if you're number 20, you're number 30, you're number 40, you're number 50, guess what? You're watching them, you got to do what they're doing. Then we get this cat named Deion Sanders in 1995. And Jerry had called us all in. I know Steve's heard this story, some of our listeners have. But Jerry calls 10 of us veterans in, said, here's the scouting report on him. Hard worker, great teammate, great practice player. The talent was obviously, you didn't have to discuss that. But how's he going to fit into our locker room? People vouch for him, all that. So Deion gets signed. Deion comes in. We quickly find out we practiced full pads Wednesdays and Thursdays, and it was almost game-like speed. We find out, and by the way, Troy, Michael, Emmett were out in full pads and going full speed. Find out Deion doesn't wear pads, and Deion's not going to have contact during the week. Oh, we lift 2 days a week. Troy, Michael, Emmett, and the rest of us all lift for 2 days a week. Deion doesn't lift weights. And Deion usurped the coach. He went to the owner, Jerry Jones. Said, I don't do this, I don't do that. So what happens, Bruce? Well, here's what happens.
You won a Super Bowl.
Hey, well, we won one, but it went downhill. And we were kind of like, but it went down because guess what? Also, you got Emmitt Smith over here going, hey, I was NFL MVP 2 years ago. Why am I out here in full pads? And he's standing over on the sidelines. Why am I going to the weight room 2 to 3 times a week when he doesn't lift weights? I'm not going to do that. And then guess what? The young defensive backs. Well, Deion doesn't do this. Why do I need to do that? Well, the obvious answer is you're not as good as him. But the entire thing broke down because of one person. And so when I say, when your best player, Ketel Marte, is okay taking days off for minor ailments, especially in important parts of the season, that permeates through the locker room. And obviously the Diamondbacks aren't as talented as we were back in the 90s, but still, it's amazing what one person...
He had to get that in, right?
It's amazing what one person can do to a locker room.
Well, Dale, I had never heard that. I'm hearing some stories that are really fascinating, Ian. But
come around more often, Bruce.
I hadn't heard that story. Very, very interesting.
Was that Barry Switzer as the coach, by the way?
Yeah,
that was Switzer.
Yeah, and so he went to Jerry.
I'm surprised he bypassed. I figure I feel like Switzer would have been a pushover.
No.
Wow, how about that? Well, Dale, that's a very good point to take as it relates to Ketel Marte, sure. And I think that's why there was a locker room issue and it came out in the report. And I noticed this, that Ketel Marte issued an apology. Mm-hmm. So if it's not true, because I've heard some people, that's just hyperbole. I mean, media just fake news stuff like that.
People went after the media,
right? And so Marte's not going to apologize if he has nothing to apologize for. Yeah. So I know there's some validity to that. And Dale and Steve, I would have to say that you guys have changed my mind. I was on the fence. I didn't really know which way I was going to do as it relates to an off-season trade, but I was probably leaning more towards keeping him just because I'm a proponent of talent. You win with talent.
Well, absolutely. That's the problem. If you trade Marte, you're not going to get back the same amount of talent back. You're going to lose that trade because you're not going to get one of the best players at the position, whatever position it is, back. Which brings me to my next question for you, Bruce. Torey Lovullo. He's permeated this. Mike Hazen. It's not all Lovullo's fault. I'll be the first to say that.
Right.
He gets barking orders from his boss as well. From that side, but they permeated and they've made this locker room what it is. They've allowed Ketel Marte to do it. Show me another team in baseball where their superstar is taking days off because he doesn't feel right. Go ahead, show me one. Out there, anybody to do so, especially in the middle of a playoff run.
Well, I don't think the reason why I can't find a manager is because I don't think you can find a player that would want to do that.
Yes.
You almost have to pull him out of the lineup.
But
he's different.
Yeah.
And so, having said that, I don't know if you were kind of leaning, which you also part ways with Torey Lovullo, and the reason why I was slow to do that was that I just thought it was unfair. Given the glut, I don't mean just one, I mean the glut of injuries, and it just happened to be to key valuable players. Your 2 back-end closers, your ace that you signed for $210 million. I mean, and of course, I can't even throw Marte in there because we knew he was going to come up on the injured list anyway at some point. But
you're right.
But I mean, it was just I was slow to even blame Torey, but now look where they are right now, and it's like, so it offers credibility to Lovullo that in the midst of all this chaos, in the midst of what we have seen as a season that we waved the white flag, he has you right back in the hunt.
Okay, so let me rephrase this here for you here. So before the injuries, this team was god awful terrible, right? This year in spring training, we got to protect the arms for the playoffs. We're going to ramp up. What's the MO on this Diamondbacks team with Torey Lovullo? We're going to ramp up into this season so we don't, do everything at the beginning of the season, not have it at the end. Last couple seasons, it's been that way. Even the World Series year, they backed into the playoffs that year. and they had a terrible July that year. Remember, that was a year, July, where they won like, what, 3 games, something ridiculous like that going into it. Torey Lovullo is a good manager in this league, no doubt about it. But is this what you get with Torey Lovullo? Yes, he made it to the World Series, and that's fantastic. They surprised everybody. That's a small blip there to make it kind of see it. But if you look at the overall, every year Torey Lovullo's been here, tell me who's gotten better on this team. Torey Lovullo's been here, first of all. Name a player that's gotten better, that's improved as the season's gone on, and let me know where
Steve,
the things go.
I'm going to argue that point there because, see, I learned about pitchers like Brandon Font, Ryan Nelson. I mean,
Brandon Font's gone backwards this year.
Come on. See, they wouldn't even have been in the playoffs, in the World Series, because Brandon Font was actually their best pitcher at that time. And so you asked me to name me players that have gotten better.
Okay. But he's gotten worse.
I disagree. So then I'm looking at players like Ryan, Blaze Alexander.
Yeah.
Jordan.
But they didn't even give Blaze a chance until they had to, and now look what he's doing.
Yeah, but again, I disagree. I mean, I've seen a young outfield that had Alec Thomas,
who they're trying to get rid of,
McCarthy,
who they've been trying to get rid of,
and then no, because they had a chance to, and they got rid of the guy that's in Toronto. I can't think of his name. They got Gabby Martinez from him. He was a.
I know who you're talking about. I can't.
Yeah,
think of it
he was
now,
a catcher and an outfielder. And so I think it came down to which one of those. You knew they weren't going to trade Corbin Carroll. So is it going to be Alec Thomas? Is it going to be McCarthy? Or is it going to be the guy I can't think of in Toronto? Well, they traded a guy in Toronto, and I'm telling you, Gabby Martinez I think he's one of the top 5 catchers in baseball today.
Moreno, really?
Yeah, I do. I think Gabby Moreno is top 5. Absolutely, I do. And so I think that trade worked in their favor. So I've seen some development on this Diamondbacks roster. I mean, I can even go to Andrew Saalfrank, and so I'm just not going to say that I haven't seen players get better under him. But and it's important that they do, because the Diamondbacks are not a free spending team. You're in a division where the Dodgers and the Padres don't have any salary restraints at all.
Right.
And so the Diamondbacks are left to use their farm. And I'm just seeing that they're doing a heck of a job with some of these kids that come up. And Perdomo is one of those guys.
All right. Haven't we talked enough baseball, for crying out loud?
Yeah, we should probably. We probably should get on before me and Bree start.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on the Wildcats, but there's a couple Valley teams we probably should get into a little bit.
Well, really quick, my last parting shot to Bruce here.
Okay.
Torey Lovullo's teams, right?
Okay.
In terms of when did he start? He's been here 9 years now.
Okay.
So what year does that mean he came in?
So if it's 25, probably 16.
In that time frame, right? So 69, 93, 93 and 69, 82 and 80, 85, 77 for that. Then 2020 year, of course, we'll skip that. 52 and 110 and 21.
Ooh.
But then, so you had some anomalies of really bad years, right? But that's not his fault. 2022, 74 and 88. 23, 84 and 78. This year, 89, or last year, 89 and 73. You know what you got with Torey Lovullo. Do you want to be good or do you want to be mediocre? Because Torey Lovullo as a manager brings you a mediocre team that might make a run for the World Series, once every 10 years. But he's a mediocre. He doesn't get the best out of his players. Doesn't allow him to be great. The records state it. He is a near 500 manager.
Well,
hold on.
I'll say.
Hold on. You threw out 2 years. You say, well, that wasn't his fault.
Well,
the 52 win.
The 100 plus 110 loss season. He had no talent.
No, and so you've got to qualify that a little bit.
The 2020 year, you throw that out because it was whatever 50 games.
He's over 500 coach, and I'm sorry, 89 wins is not an average season. Average season is 82 and 82 or 81, 81.
Look, I've seen the Diamondbacks. I mean, look. I've seen them transition. I mean, Nick Ahmed, I thought he was like the best defensive shortstop I've seen.
Until he fell apart.
And so they've transitioned and got better with a guy named Geraldo Perdomo. I've seen the Diamondbacks trade some of their outfield talent away. And then I've seen on the farm. We just talked about the guys that have come up. They had a long-standing first baseman who was I thought he was going to retire at Diamondback, but
Goldschmidt.
yeah,
until they didn't want to pay him.
You're right, and so again, that's not Lovello's
I'm not
fault.
saying that is, yeah.
And so,
But you have to admit he's mismanaged Lawler.
yeah,
You have to admit that.
yeah.
You can't say that he's put Lawler in his success until now because he has to.
But I tell you, Lawler's, he's had some issues on his self regarding health.
Injuries, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not arguing that point on it. It's just when you brought the kid up, you just let him languish on the end of the sideline instead of putting him out there.
Look, if I had a complaint of Torey Lovullo over the last few years here, when they went to the World Series that year that they just shocked everyone, they had this mantra. I believe it was like embrace the chaos.
Yes.
They ran everywhere. Last year they got away from their identity.
Well, this year, so after the trade deadline, they started stealing bases, and Torey Lovullo said, "Well, we've gotten more athletic on this team." And I went, "You've had Corbin Carroll all year long, Coach. He could have stole bases for you at the beginning part of the season too."
Yeah.
No, it's a coaching thing. Now it might not be Lovello's fault. It might be his boss telling him.
I'm a little slow to pull the string on.
He's coming back next year, by the way, even if we don't want it. Yeah.
Okay.
How
they make the
do you
playoffs.
fire him now when you're 1.5 out? Even if they finish 3-4 games out with what you injuries, with what you did at the trade deadline, and you're not going to add to this roster. You're not going to get those big guys back. He's got to come back for one more year because you're not going to bring in another coach to come in and deal with this team.
If they make the playoffs this year, Coop, how long do you sign him? 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years?
Going to get a 1-year deal.
I'd go 3 at least.
Yeah.
Would you really?
I would.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So Robert does this. Well, first of all, Robert says crazy they're doing this without any help from Marte, and he looked it up. It is 163 in September is what Marte said. Your superstar player, that's supposed to be the guy that walks up the plate in big moments. 163 in September.
If he becomes Ketel Marte that we know that can carry a team, Diamondbacks are going to win that final wild card spot.
And then Robert did the Torey Lovullo, what his actual career is. Like I said, he's basically his winning percentage is .503. But I take that 10-year out, the 10-year loss, because that team was barren. So I'll take those out, and he's around 500. Yeah, whatever, 10 games up, 10 games down, whatever it is. But he's around a 500.
It's not
manager,
down,
even with that stuff.
It's not down.
Doesn't matter. You know what you got with him is what I'm saying.
You got a World Series contender.
And that World Series, you remember, they were pitching every 5 days with a bullpen game.
They were. And I know Mike Hazen took the sword on that one.
Yeah, I'm still disgusted that you're in the World Series with the bullpen team on that side. So over the weekend, your Arizona State Sun Devils 2-1 on the season. Bruce, your thoughts on that game?
I'll tell you what. I remember when the Sun Devils got Raleek Brown to transfer to ASU last year. They talked about this guy was a electric 5-star athlete. And yet I think we saw him for maybe 3 or 4 plays. He just couldn't stay healthy. I guess he had a lingering hamstring.
Yeah, so we didn't know that last year. But we sure found it out this year.
And so coming into this year, losing Scatterboo, I looked for Kyson Brown to be the guy, and then I didn't know what Kanye Udo could do. So I didn't even consider Raleek Brown. But then I was reading some reports where he'd added like 10, 15 pounds of muscle. He's a completely different running back.
But he still dances too much. He still dances too much.
I see the explosion. Mm-hmm. He's got 2 straight games now over 100 yards. Mm-hmm. And at 75 yards, look, it's 27-9. And Texas State, you figure they may have the momentum with that touchdown. 1 play, 75 yards later.
See you later.
Yeah, buggy. Now, I can also talk about one of our other local teams that had a 27-9 lead, and it went the other way.
We'll talk about them here coming up as well.
But I like explosive athletes.
Yeah.
Explosive athletes usually parallel with explosive plays, and so I didn't know that this kid. I see a toughness in his runs. I mean, he has some drive in him. I mean, I thought he's like one of those guys. If you just touched him, then he'd go down.
Well, that's what he portrayed last year.
Yeah,
but I'm wondering if some of that was because the guy that you were comparing him to was Cam Scatterby. Scatterby would come out, Brown would go in, and it was a completely different running style. And you were like, that's not what we want. Yeah. Udo is more of a Cam Scatterby. He got bottled up in this game. Every time he touched the ball, he was being hit almost immediately.
Yeah.
Whereas Raleek was able to make those moves and get into that side. But my question is this on ASU, because this is what worries me, right? Their strength in my eyes is the running game. And I think the coaching staff came into the season and they went, we have a Heisman Trophy candidate as a quarterback. We have one of the best receivers in the league. Our identity is going to be throwing the football. And it hasn't worked out for them to the level that they'd like it to. So they need to go back to that running game, don't they?
Well, I'm going to put it to you like this. I see more teams now kind of stacking the box.
Oh, absolutely.
With ASU. So it's almost forcing Leavitt to throw the ball a little bit more. And my criticism of Leavitt is that I think he just looks Jordan Tyson's way. Yes. Now, in the game against Texas State, for the first time this year, they started to utilize Mateer, the tight end.
And they need the tight end involved in this.
Right. And so, but they still aren't. Now, I will say this.
6 for 60 for him. And non-existent in the first two games.
I will say this, that all the talk that I'd heard during, their training camps and the practices about Jaron Hamilton being this big, deep threat. They got the transfer from Alabama. Yeah. Well, we saw him return a kickoff like 100 yards for a touchdown, but it was called back for a hold. Well, Leavitt threw him a bomb. Dude, you have to make that catch. I mean, it looked like it was just beyond his fingertips, but no, man, come on, man, make that catch.
Yeah, make that catch. Everybody's waiting for him. You need the second receiver on this team. It's got to be him.
You do. Yeah. Well, yeah, because Jalen Moss, the transfer from Fresno State, that was averaging like 100 catches a year. I mean, he's pulling the Raleek Brown. He can't stay healthy now. Yeah. But I mean, Jaron Hamilton, brother, you got to make that catch.
Tell me this: who's had a more disappointing start to this season? Arch Manning or Sam Leavitt?
Arch Manning.
Isn't that obvious?
Look,
you think it's that obvious?
I think it's completely
that first game of the year. I mean,
but he's playing against Ohio State. He ain't playing against NAU.
Hey! Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Arch Manning came in with, he has the pedigree for one.
Yeah.
But he came in with all the hype. I mean, Dale, some of the passes that he made, I mean, come on now.
Oh, no, I'm not saying he looked good at all, but you're looking at Sam Leavitt. He was a Heisman Trophy candidate, too.
I think you should throw all the Heisman to talk out relative to Sam Leavitt after his play at Mississippi State. Yeah. No. It's over.
He's completing about 58% of his passes right now.
Let's throw the conversation. Okay. He's out of the conversation.
Okay, so
and so is Manning.
Okay, so
no Heisman.
And so
Manning will stay in it because of his name.
No, I don't think he will. I saw a top 10 list. He's not even a top 10.
Oh, really? They took him out of that even. Well, he's throwing sidearm now. Yeah. He's hurt. I think that's what's going to come out later on.
When you look at ASU. Okay, and you and I have talked about this. My stance still is the same. The Diamondbacks are going to break our hearts, and Valley can't have good things. ASU trying to be competitive or successful 2 years in a row, it just doesn't happen in the history of ASU, unless you go back to when you were, a young lad and they were in the WAC. How do you see him play 3 times now? What's your take in trying to look forward? Is this team a team that's going to be in it at the end?
Well, let me put it to you like this. Brian Ward, their DC, I was so disappointed in their play against Mississippi State, especially, Dale, after we saw 4th and 13 in the Peach Bowl against Texas. That was a failure.
At a good old cover zero.
Do you know it's 3rd and 9? 3rd and 9, and it's like 41 seconds left to go in the game. You have a 3-point lead.
You just went up.
Yeah, you have a 3-point lead. They have 0 timeouts left in the game. Mm-hmm. You just want to make either a sack or a tackle in the field of play because they can't stop the clock.
Right.
All right. And to see the blitz that took place. Now I think someone mentioned to it, maybe in you, Steve, about the corner kind of tripped.
He got tripped up.
He did trip.
And the guy, he would have gotten to him and hit him.
Yeah.
If he didn't get tripped
right,
up. But that's what happens on plays, man.
Yeah. And so, and then they'll watch how they flip their, I guess, their scheme.
Yes.
This past Saturday night. I mean, it was like they're going to give you everything underneath. Until you get to like the red zone, then maybe they'll kind of tighten up. I'm like, I don't know if I like that approach either. I really don't. I mean, Baylor is a team that can put points on the board. I mean, we saw that against your ponies, and so
were they down 14? Yeah. It was like a few minutes to go, and ended up forcing overtime, and then ultimately winning.
Yeah, and so you can say that again if you want to. No, but here's the deal. I mean. I don't like the way this team is playing defensively this year. I think it's a lot different from what we saw a year ago when they were an attacking, aggressive defense. I mean, they made plays behind the line of scrimmage. They did some things and twists and things like that with their linebackers and things like that. And so I'm not seeing that at all. And then Sam Leavitt, I saw him make some plays that kind of reminded me of last year where, again, I love his heart. I love his tenacity. But, dude, I don't want to see Sims as a backup. I mean, Sam is not going to slide down. He's not going to go down. He's going to go through you. Yes. And I see that as a problem. But look, the way he spun out a couple times and just made plays. And, I mean, the reverse spin – and the little jump pass to Tyson that Tyson then catches, hurdles a player, dives into the end zone. I mean, that's a highlight for the ages. But I just don't like the way what I'm seeing from the ASU on both sides of the ball. I think the best thing I've seen from them this year is that they're place kicking. We're not going to see Dillingham have a tryout because look. They have solved that issue. I think that's the best thing I've seen so far, and that's sad to say 3 games in.
I got one question to 2 ASU guys. At the end of the year, who has more victories, Team Down South or ASU?
Why do you keep trying to make Arizona something?
He really is. He really is. Look.
No, that's not an answer.
Can I wait till
right now? I want an answer today.
I'm going to say Arizona State.
Really?
I think they are a tougher team. We have not seen any type of grit or mettle at all from Arizona yet. Why? Because they played cupcakes. Their first 2 games, tremendous cupcakes. Their best challenge so far was Kansas State, a declining Kansas State at home. They have yet to go to the road, and so I think that temperament and that success maybe changes.
Okay, but tell me this. What have we seen from ASU? They went on the road one time against the scourge of the SEC.
And that's a great point you're making. They went down there, fell behind 17-0. Yeah. Those cowbells still ringing out. And what did they do? They dominated the entire second half. They came back and they took a lead. Now I still disagree with Dillingham on 4th and goal from the 1. Yeah. In a game tied at 17. But I've just dominated the entire second half. Yeah.
And your MO was your aggressive.
I'm going for it. If I don't make it, they have to go 99 yards, and they have done diddly in the second half. And so, look, say what you will. ASU answered the call in a hostile environment because I think that's going to serve them well going forward, and to serve them well even Saturday in Waco.
You realize that Brennan's not wearing that lay anymore, and I think that's a big
Maybe
thing.
that's the problem. Huh?
kryptonite.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
probably-
kryptonite.
yeah, that's kryptonite.
I agree with Bruce. ASU will have more wins, but ASU's losing 2 to 3 more games this year
Thing.
into the deal. Yeah.
Okay. And I don't think I see if they lose 3 more games. I don't know if Arizona's losing 4 games this year.
Well, they're not going to beat BYU.
What?
No, they're not going to beat BYU. They're not.
Do we have to
Red
bet
shirt
another
freshman.
thing that you're not going to pay?
Uh-oh.
And Dale, I think I looked and I saw that they only have, I believe, 5 road games this year. So they're playing.
Arizona, yes.
Yeah, they've seven.
They've got a favorable schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're
They
going
always let you down.
they're going to lose at least 3, maybe 4 of those road games.
I want to see, and that's why I asked if they can wait, because 2 weeks from now, they're off this week, Iowa State. That's going to tell us what Arizona is. That's going to tell us how good they are. If they get destroyed, they're not obviously in the Iowa State level. They're not in that top division level kind of a position. But are they good enough? Because, I mean, the bottom tier of the Big 12 is pretty good, Dale.
Yeah. You know,
Above Arizona,
let me
I'm
tell you
just
something.
saying.
Iowa State may be undefeated, but they have been far from impressive.
Oh, they almost lost last week
I mean,
against who was it? Iowa Southern Corn College.
Yeah.
Robert says, I think Dale should get an instigator penalty for that question. Gamblu chimes in and says Lavello's done more than any manager with less in the last 8 years. Man, Lou's our gambling guy that comes in on Thursdays,
Okay.
and he loves himself some Torey Lavello. He just
Hey.
always tells me I'm wrong on that.
Hey, look, I love Tory myself, but you know, I'm all about, you know, production, wins and losses, and getting championships. That's what you're in the game for.
I just don't think
And-
Torey's going to get you there.
Well, I you know, look, I'm not ready to throw the flag on him only because we saw the great run in 23. 24, you're up 3 games with 7 to play, and you wind up tying, you're out. And so I liked some of the things they did in the offseason. They threw money in there. I mean, Corbin Burns, $210 million and stuff. And then they also went ahead and signed Martinez. They was another one of their young bullpen players, like you said, what they did with Perdomo and Corbin Carroll and stuff. So they locked him up. But, hey, man, manager can't do anything about those Tommy Johns.
What if I told you that Torey Lavello was the Marty Schottenheimer of baseball? I just wanted to see Dale's reaction to
Okay.
By the way, that's one of the more you can have a conversation about that.
I mean, just really, you know, good at times, not good at times, and then just failing when it matters. You just know what you got.
The thing about Torey Lavello that I will say is that every coach, manager has a shelf life, and that voice at some point needs to be changed. And it's sometimes not even his fault.
Organizations as a whole, I mean,
but 9 years of listening.
CEOs of companies don't stick around for 20, 30 years very often because there's a voice that change that needs to happen organizational wide from that side. And we're at year 9 now, 10 next year. Just sometime you see it with what have the Ravens done, right? With Harbaugh there forever. Steelers. They're you know what they are now. They'll make the playoffs and then lose in the first round. Ravens will make the playoffs, underperform, and be out right away. You know what you got at this point. Now, the question is, are you fine with that or can you improve it? That's what the Diamondbacks have to decide. Are we fine being an average team? ASU, on the other hand, I don't know. Cardinals talk coming up next, Bruce. Better be ready for this.
I'm ready for it, but I'm telling you, to answer your question, ASU will win more games than U of A, and we can put another steak dinner on it.
And we'll put another steak dinner.
I agree with him on that too.
I mean,
bro.
by the way, that steak dinner that we bet 20 years ago, it's steak 44 now, big boy.
Steak 41.
Man, he's retired. Well, jeez. Come on back, folks. We'll get into it. NFL talk out there, and 0-2 teams, 2-0 teams. Who's fake and who's real is the question. Come on back. The main event with Bruce Cooper. And we're back here. Main event with Dale Hellestree and Bruce Cooper.
Boy, Bruce shows up and we just all become Trump.
Dale cried during the break there, folks. You know, Dale got a little sensitive.
So just we need to make it public. You're taking most wins this year. You're
Arizona
taking ASU,
State.
and I'm taking Arizona for steak dinner.
Steak dinner.
Yeah. I mean, we might as well bet we could bet a Tesla because you never pay anyway.
Dang. So the Cardinals played Carolina, started 2-0 on the season. The Cardinals joined the 2024 Steelers as the only team since 2020 to start 2-0 despite having under 300 yards of total offense.
Wow.
Offensive struggles for the Cardinals. I mean, everybody expects this offense to be a thing. I said the thing that's going to be good for the Cardinals this year is their defense, which now has a lot of question marks there. But your overall thoughts of the Cardinals here 2 weeks into the season?
Well, let's start on the offensive side of the ball because I didn't know that stat. Look, I think the biggest disappointment offensively has been their run game. Cardinals were a top 5 running team in the league a year ago.
12 yards of running doesn't do it for you?
No, look.
I don't know what it is.
Look, let me tell you something. James Conner, I was against the Cardinals even bringing him in because I just said the guy gets hurt a lot because that was his MO in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And I just
Well, he had cancer, Bruce.
Well, I understand that. No, he had that in college. He had that in college
just
now.
kidding.
You know, at Pitt. Now,
That'll make you feel bad.
yeah. Now, when he got, and I said, you know, I don't like his durability, and plus, I don't think he's an every down back. I don't like his hands out of the backfield. Well, he has proven me wrong. He runs extremely hard, and he catches the ball extremely well in the backfield. I never saw that in Pittsburgh, so I was like, wow. But then now, when you see those running backs started getting up in that 30 column, on the other side of 30, you start looking for drop-offs. And yet I said, well, there's no drop-off with James. I'm seeing a drop-off this year.
But let me bring up one thing.
Okay.
Because last year I argued with people. I thought the Cardinals' offensive line last year outperformed what people thought they played like. I thought they were an above-average, top 10-ish, top 12-ish offensive line in the National Football League. They're not playing at that level this year.
No, and I'm glad you say that. And there's 2 players that I want to highlight there. Okay, I don't know if you remember, Jonah Williams got hurt.
Right.
And they played Kelvin Beachum at tackle.
Yep.
Will Hernandez was your starting right guard. He gets hurt late, and so then they wind up playing some guy named, shouldn't say that, Isaiah Adams, a rookie. So now Isaiah Adams and Jonah Williams are your starters on the right side. Mm-hmm. They have a major problem on the right side, and with penalties too, especially with Adams. You know, the Cardinals would make explosive plays. They'd get into the red zone, and the very next snap, there's either a holding penalty on Isaiah Adams or a face mask or something. I'm like, dude, you're killing us. And so I just don't see those guys performing at the level that Beach and Hernandez did. Because I've looked at this deal and I said that's the biggest difference. I don't. But I still can't excuse Conner because see, Conner ran with that Cam Scatterboo abandon.
Yep.
I'm not seeing that. The dude had maybe he's rushed under 40 yards each of the first 2 games. Mm-hmm. And Trey Benson, his backup, has looked more explosive.
He just had that one run. Otherwise, he's done a 52-yarder in the first game. He's done nothing.
Look, he seems like he's running with more energy, with more pop than I'm seeing from James Conner. So, that's number one. Offensively, the Cardinals can't run the ball.
By the way, James Conner's averaging 3.2 yards per carry.
Oh, boy.
He had 11 carries, 34. Now, I will say this in defense. Saints, Panthers,
they're horrible.
Stacking the box, though, against the running game. It seemed like their strategy was
you're right.
The passing game is what's going to beat us. Is kind of what I think their strategy was, which isn't going to change if you can't run against these guys. Take away Kyler Murray's 32 yards of rushing last weekend. The running backs were 14 of 48 yards.
That's not going to get it. But I will say this, that, again, I'm going to go back and hit the car. You know, Kyler Murray started looking at the other receivers. Michael Wilson. He throws a little hitch to Wilson. Wilson takes it in for a touchdown. Well, there's a holding on Adams on the play. You take the touchdown off the board. Cardinals wind up kicking a field goal. All right? And so that's going to turn out to be a problem. Well, there is a touchdown pass that they throw to Michael Williams later. Wilson. When I say Williams, Michael Wilson later. But there is that fade the Cardinals threw in the corner of the end zone to Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin's added like 10, 15 pounds of muscle this year.
Yep.
Dude, he waits for the ball to come to him where the DB knocks it down instead of just going like Larry.
Him in the chest.
Larry would have gone up and extended his hands, and it's beyond the DB. But if you wait for the ball to come in like he did, well, then the guy knocks it down.
You don't even have to say Larry Fitzgerald. How about T-Mac?
How about any
T-Mac
receiver?
would have been. T-Mac 6'4" would have been.
There you go. And so then there's another pass play where the ball went through Harrison's hand.
Hit him right in the head.
Yeah,
went through his hand, hit him in the face.
Yeah, and so I'm like, Marvin, dude, you don't have your head in the game here. I mean, and so that's a problem when your number one receiver doesn't seem to have his head in the game.
Let me tell you a quick story because you don't know it. Steve's heard it, unfortunately. Maybe our new listeners haven't. I broadcasted the Ohio State-Penn State game a year ago.
Okay.
And I came back on Monday and I told Steve and our listeners, I said, I'm not drafting Marvin Harrison.
Really?
Because when you're there, you can see him. Didn't get a ball thrown to him in the first quarter. Pouting. Not even going to the huddle. Just body language. And I'm a big body language guy. I'm maybe too much of a body language guy. But I've always said, you can tell me, without saying anything, you could look at me and say, hey, go to hell. I can feel it. And that's the feeling I got from Marvin Harrison. And now you see last year he had a better year than he got credit for.
Sure he did.
Last year.
I agree with you. But he did have a lot of drops.
Yeah, he did, but he didn't have the Malik Neighbors.
Can't win a contested ball to save his life.
He did, but he didn't have a Neighbors year, and he didn't have a couple of those other young receivers years. But all the pomp and circumstance, stronger, bigger, faster, all those things. But it's the same thing. And I don't ever see any emotion out of him. I don't see any excitement. And I'm seeing drops. And that's concerning.
Yeah.
Well, I question on Marvin. I questioned it last year, but I was willing to give him a shot, after his rookie year. I think when things go, I don't know if it's poutiness like Dale describes or what, but when things go bad for him, it goes bad.
Snowballs.
It just snowballs. I don't think he's mentally... he's not mentally in the game at times. And then once that happens and he gets a ball thrown to him, he drops it, like that touchdown one, then the ball that he just drops blatant, and then he's out of the game after that point.
So you think that you need to start him off early with like something that he can catch right away and then
get him in the
going.
game. He's had how many targets over the last couple of weeks? Basically none. And this is what I don't get. And I am last year I was kind of the first one in town to go after Drew Penzing and his unimaginative offense that the Cardinals have. It's just a boring check down offense. Is that the quarterback? Is that the offensive play caller? That's the question that we don't know, but we're trying to figure it out, right, going into it. But it's unimaginative. I think guys get bored playing in this offense, and they take themselves out of the games during the game, and it costs them as they drive down the field, especially in the red zone. Why? How come everybody else in the Giants have Russell Wilson as their quarterback? They have no receivers other than Neighbors. They scored 40 points, and the Cardinals can't score more than 20 in a game because they're kicking field goals or turning the ball over.
Well, look. I tell you some things that are really haunting the Cardinals are. After a big play, they get down in the red zone. They have penalties, inevitably, that are going. I mean, penalties have been a big problem for this team.
Nobody's afraid of their receivers.
Right, absolutely. And so, look.
And you don't look at the tight ends in the red zone either, which drives me nuts.
Yeah, I'm of the proponent that the Cardinals need to find a speed guy on the outside. Yeah. You know,
They don't value this offense. Doesn't value wide receivers though. So why?
That's a problem.
You know why their offense is so unimaginative? I told Steve this yesterday. It's because Drew Pensing has a little note card as his play call sheet. All the other really good OCs have big sheets for plays on both sides and all. And all Drew has is this little card. Watch him the next time. The next time you see him play.
It got better. Like at that last drive before halftime and the drive after halftime. Go watch the whole game and skip the last drive before halftime and skip the first drive in the third quarter. Watch the rest of the game. It's unimaginative. It's a penalty happens. It goes conservative after that. And then watch that drive into halftime and then drive in the third quarter. Completely different play calls, completely different team. He opened the play calling up in those plays, allowed him to go out there and perform, and Kyler Murray found his tight ends, and they moved down the field and scored in both of those instances.
Well,
the rest of the game, they don't.
Yeah. I'll say this. I kind of mentioned it earlier. Arizona State had a 27-9 lead, and then Raleek Brown touchdown. Yep. Carolina cut a 27-3 deficit to 27-9. Now the Cardinals have the ball. Cardinals move down the field. They are 3rd and 3 from the Panthers' 12-yard line. Now, here's where a lot of people are giving Kyler Murray crap because he throws the interception.
Yes.
But I'm not, and so if the Cardinals score there, I'm pretty sure it's game.
Even if it's a 3, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Katie barred the door. But I can't. I'm not going to blame Kyler there. His arm got hit. Yeah. That's why the ball fluttered and got an interception. Now, keep in mind.
But because he decides late to throw it.
Well, that's beside the point to me because, see, what I've been critical of Kyler is his bad decisions when he throws interception. This wasn't a bad decision.
I agree.
And so this entire game, he even had this big 30-yard run where it looks like he's dead to right. I don't know how he pulled that Houdini act and got. So you can't take away Kyler what makes him special and dynamic. So he's trying to escape. Now I don't know who he's looking for downfield, but his arm clearly got hit.
He said I think he was trying to throw it away, and he said after the game he was trying to throw it away because nobody was in that area.
All right, and so I can't blame him for that. That's an offensive line problem because immediately as soon as he took the ball from the shotgun, he's immediately trying to run to escape pressure. And so now he's trying to throw. Now, look, I don't know why he just didn't run straight out. In retrospect, just run straight out of bounds.
Because guys like me yell at him when he does that.
Yeah.
No, but see, I'm going to disagree with you guys both very strongly in this. Because that's a horrible decision on his part.
No, that was not a horrible decision.
You get rid of the football before you get hit, Bruce. There's absolutely there's no reason for him or you take the sack. You take the sack or you get rid of it.
No.
You can still kick the field goal.
No. Why? Okay. First of all, they wouldn't even have been in that position if he'd listen to you and take a sack. Because that's what would have happened before he miraculously got out of that Houdini act and went 30 yards down the field.
Nobody touched him on that one.
He
dodged and darted. He didn't get hit. I'm telling you, on that interception, that was the turning point of the game, Bruce.
That wasn't the turning point in the game. Dude,
it gave Carolina an opportunity.
Hey, Dale, let me tell you what's the turning point in the game. Turning point in the game is when you look at on the defensive side of the ball, when they allowed the Panthers to eat up over 8 minutes on 73 drives of over 75 yards. They had that team in 4th down, I can't tell you how many times. And they let them off the hook. Yeah. You stop them, the game is over.
Who do you sound like? What Cardinals coming? Let them on the hook.
But
16 plays, 93 yards, and then they had a 13-play, 76-yard drive for 2,000 Panthers. That's where they got it.
Look. And even the onside kick. I mean, it's like, are you freaking kidding me? This defense, and I'm gonna tell you something. After that interception by Kyler, and they only had the ball one more time. One more time, and it was their first 3 and out. But that defense, Dale, did nothing. They did absolutely zero. You talk about turning point in the game, BS. That darn defense
You pay him $40+ million a year.
I don't care if
to
they
make
pay
good decisions.
Dale. They have a 27 to 3 lead to 9 lead at that point. 27 to 9 lead at that point. Okay, you're up 3 scores. That is not a turning point.
Coop, you just told me that if they kick the field goal, that Carolina's dead.
Well, it's still a 3-score game. It's still 21 points. It's still from 18 to 21. That's all it is.
But it's completely different. You don't have momentum.
At some point, that defense has to start
I'm
playing.
not saying that they have
that was the problem.
culpability.
That was the problem. And I'm going to tell you, I've never seen a team convert that. Did they ever stop? The only time they stopped them on 4th down, it took the 100-year-old Calais Campbell to make the sack. I mean, come on, man.
No, I understand.
Dude, I'm major league alarmed by this Cardinals team. And
but isn't it much more enjoyable being alarmed and they're 2-0 than alarmed they're 0-2?
It most certainly is. But here's the deal. I think a lot of their problems are correctable, but I don't know this. I don't know the health status of their secondary.
We won't find out till tomorrow. Coach Gannon said yesterday, well, no more tomorrow.
It does not look good.
Well, Will Johnson has a
does not look good. They're going to be calling Coop.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Don't put your phone down.
And I'm going to tell you something. Denzel Burke, I know he's a local kid.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this dude get called for quite a few defensive holding penalties.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time when I thought the Cardinals had got off the field on the 4th down. I said, great.
Yeah.
A couple of those are really ticky-tack.
Well, the Josh Sweat sack was. I mean,
no doubt about it.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I think it's correctable. These things are correctable, so I'm not going to get overly alarmed. But here's the deal.
Hold on. Understand something about Burke. He's a 4th-round draft pick. He's a rookie.
That's what I was gonna
if
say.
you're counting on him,
that's what they have to do.
I know, but you're also if you're counting on, then you've also got to say he's a 4th-round rookie, and he's going to have some issues.
I got a 6th-round second-year player in Keitrell Clark that I got to count on too.
Isn't the bigger issue if you have all these secondary issues, you need a pass rush? And where's Darius Robinson, last year's first-round draft pick?
Here's
non-existent.
I got to ask you this. And I'm going to ask you, throw this open to you. The Carolina Panthers' first series, we saw the pressure, the sack, the scoop, the score, touchdown. Their second offensive series, we saw the pressure, the hit that forced the duck that's intercepted by Birch, I believe it was. Browning. And so where was that the rest of the game?
Yeah.
I mean, where was it?
That's my point. They go now. I will say that as a counterpoint here. Kyler Murray throws that interception. They get the ball. 10 minutes and 42 seconds, I think it is left in the half in the game. Yeah. You have a 27-9 lead. Let the Panthers take a 6-minute drive down the field. Even if they score a touchdown, you still have a big lead, but make them milk the clock. They did that.
Yeah.
They did it. Where they went wrong was the onside kick and letting them recover it and then having to do that side of it. So,
but they scored again.
They played the prevent.
They scored in between that.
I know, and another long drive where they wasted the clock.
And they had all kinds of 4th downs. Steve, at some point, you have to get them off the darn field.
I don't disagree, but you also need to score touchdowns in the red zone, and they aren't doing that.
Well, they scored a touchdown in the red zone.
20 points.
Hey, Steve, they scored a touchdown in the red zone to Michael Wilson, and there's a holding penalty, and you
they scored 20 points on offense. 20 points on offense. And I told this story yesterday. I get up to go to the bathroom halfway through the third quarter. It's a blowout, whatever. And I go in there and they pipe the sounds of AQ Shipley and, Passion there. And I'm listening to Passion AQ talk about how, offenses are disjointed this year and everything. And then I come out and I look at my phone and I see the Cowboys have scored 41 points and the Giants have scored 40 points and the Saints have scored a ton of points. Well, all these teams have scored a ton of points and the Cardinals cannot score in the red zone. They couldn't do it last year. They can't do it this year. There's an offensive problem with this team. So, yes, you can blame the defense late in the game for not getting off the field, but it shouldn't even have been that close.
Well, let me put it to you like this. I don't see the Philadelphia Eagles putting up 40 points a game, but their defense is playing and to the point
Okay,
to where they're winning games.
Now, you said that the pressure went away. They did have 10 quarterback hits. They had 10 quarterback hits and 3 sacks.
And he was scrambling. Bryce Young was scrambling.
I don't recall 10 quarterback
well,
hits.
But he was scrambling a lot too. He was running for his life.
I mean, he was
at times.
elusive. You're not going to play
no.
a Bryce Young every week. You're not going to play him this week. I promise you that.
Mac Jones?
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones is going to so look good this week. You're going to put him in the Hall of Fame after this week.
Wow, you two are unbelievable. You don't know anything about sports. I don't know how you had a job for 40 years.
Well, Dale. Let me put it to you like this. Bryce Young, up until I guess the latter part of last season, he finally started to begin to play like a first-round draft pick, let alone the first overall pick. All right. So this year, coming out of the gate, he was nothing special in week 1. But we made him special in week 2. Mm-hmm. He was damn near unstoppable.
By the way, 21 pressures on Bryce Young's 59 dropbacks, 35.6%.
I didn't see
Tied for
that.
the 3rd most pressures in a game since Jonathan Gannon took over.
So you're making my argument sound weak.
But here's, I think, what you're falling victim to, because I fall victim to it also. They didn't get pressure unless they blitz. The front 4 guys could do nothing unless they blitz. And to me, that's dangerous, especially with your secondary with all these injuries. You need your front 4 guys to put pressure on the quarterback by themselves. Darius Robinson's non-existent. The excuses of injured, missed training camp last year are gone. Non-existent out there. None. Not even out there.
Dale wants to mention the money the Cardinals are paying Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Hey, let me mention the money that they're paying Josh Sweat. He's made 1 play in 2 games.
Well, and I said this after the first week, Bruce. My fingers are crossed that he's not the Larry Brown of the Arizona Cardinals, who had 1. Again, he's an 8 sack a year guy. That's what he is. He's an 8 sack a year guy. That's half a sack a game, and he had an unbelievable Super Bowl that got him a lot of money. And now people expect him. Hey, real quick, because I know we're out of time. I had a buddy named John Konkak who played for the SMU Mustangs basketball team. Drafted by the Atlanta Hawks.
I know him. Sure.
Yeah.
First-round pick.
Yeah, first-round pick. 5th overall, I believe. And he became a free agent after 4 years in Atlanta. He's a 6-point, 4-rebound a game guy. That's him. That's what he is.
Got a massive
and Detroit signed him to an offer sheet. And Atlanta matched it. And, they tripled his pay and all that. He still averaged 6 points and 4 rebounds. Everybody thought, oh, well, you signed him. Now he should have 15 points and 8 rebounds. No, he's a 6.4 rebound guy. Josh Sweat's a half a sack guy. He had 1 good game in the Super Bowl. So now we're going to expect him to come out with 15 sacks? He's going to become T.J. Watt? Or
He's not going to do it unless the other guys on that line show up and start performing at that point. The other thing I'll say about the defense, especially late, that last drive, Will Johnson went out with that groin injury. So I think they did go a little bit conservative to help the secondary out, because you did have to have Cattell Clark out there and the other rookies out there and stuff like that. So I do think they went that route also to kind of help out the secondary. But you need to get pressure from the front 4.
And you need to get off the field on 4th down.
And you can't make horrible decisions as a quarterback and give the team momentum.
But I will say this about that intercept. You're right. He decided to throw it away too late. And that's what Kyler Murray sometimes does. He made the right decision just too late. The problem with those turnovers in Kyler Murray is, for some reason, I've seen it 1,000 times in that stadium. With some reason, when Kyler Murray does a play like that late in the game, it's just the momentum switches to the other team.
Well, I've seen
it's amazing to watch it happen.
Well, look, the bad decision making I'm talking about is, I take you back to the Seattle Seahawks.
When he just lobs it up.
Dude. I mean, it's like a 6-6 game.
Yeah.
He drops back. He's trying to throw it out. It's a pick 6. The other way. Those are bad decisions.
I understand what you're saying.
I didn't have a problem with this one.
Yeah. It's amazing how the fan base, even the team, it's just like when that ball was intercepted, everybody in that stadium went, here we go again. We're going to be fighting to hang on to this.
Well, that's a terrible, because the other team has to go 88 yards, and it's still an 18-point lead.
Should have been a 21-point lead.
Bruce Cooper joins us on Tuesdays. And we'll have to-
Finally, Bruce
I
and
know.
I.
We're gonna have to. This is why it's only once a week, folks. These two need to cool down with the hose afterwards. Robert, by the way, chimed in and said, "This is fantastic." Yeah, Robert, if you noticed, I just leaned back and was watching this happen, like tennis match there. Bruce will join us next Tuesday again. Hopefully, another Cardinals victory up there in San Francisco. We'll see ASU at Baylor on a Saturday as well, and we'll go from there. And you know what? Let's get security in here and separate these.
How about
down before they
Diamondbacks?
leave.
And that next week at this time, are they in the playoffs or not, Coop?
No, they won't have clinched anything by then.
But will they be in the wild card?
They should
the
because
spots?
because the Mets haven't proven that they can win any games.
I didn't. You know what? I haven't looked up the Mets schedule. I know we're late here and the music's playing. Who the Mets play? I know they have Padres right now. Let's see who they've got here out of curiosity. Nationals. Then they got Cubs, but Cubs will have everything wrapped up, and then Marlins. I know the Diamondbacks do have the toughest end of the season schedule.
Yeah, but let's hope they're all going to set their pitching staffs and give people some rest.
Exactly, right? But yeah, Marlins and the Nationals on their schedule, and then Cubs, who knows, because they've already clinched that wild card spot or about to. So
Come on, Kyler.
next Tuesday, yep, of course, McCollum on Business coming up at 11 o'clock. Come join me, Pit Stop. Look back to last weekend's racing later on today as well. So come and join us, folks. The main event with Bruce Cooper and Dale Ellister. Yell it.